Students, please come down to the front. Superintendent of the Fairport Central School District. Before we begin our evening's festivities and celebrations and acknowledgement, I would like to have Marilyn Mackelbon, our Board of Education President, come to the microphone.
It's my pleasure, honor, on behalf of the Fairport Board of Education, to welcome family, friends, and colleagues to celebrate Dave Dunn, Bob Longhouse, Linda Northrup, and Mark Traywitz, who have given of themselves, their talents, their time, their heart to the Fairport education community. With deepest appreciation, the class of 2016 inductees to the Fairport Wall of Fame Education Wall of Distinction. Thank you.
I would like to have our student representative, Sarah Chesneys, come to the, come to the front to take a few moments to talk a little about her experiences as part of the committee.
All right. Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Provenzano said, my name is Sarah Chesonis, and I'm a senior. Close enough. I'm a senior here at FHS, and I'm also a student member of the Wall of Distinction Committee. And I've just been asked to say a few words about what it means to me to be a student on the committee. But before I begin, I'd like to extend a quick congratulations to each of the inductees, as well as a thank you to the Wall of Distinction Committee for making this night possible. So as a student, being a member of this committee has been such an honor to me. I think it's easy for students to forget how devoted the staff here in Fairport are and how hard they work each and every day to make a difference in each of our lives. We're just so lucky to be surrounded by such a special group of staff, and I think we don't take enough time to recognize just how amazing they are. I feel privileged to have been on this committee because I got not only to see the dozens of names that we have that get nominations, but also the pages and the packets of extensive kind words about each of the nominees, which again I think just speaks to how amazing the Fairport staff are. I think Fairport family is a phrase that we specify at special occasions, but it truly does apply each and every day to the Fairport School District because of the amazing individuals like the ones we have seated up here tonight. I hope you enjoy yourselves, and once again, congratulations to each of the inductees.
Again, thank you. I would like to take a moment to personally thank Mr. Baines and the Wall of Distinction Committee for giving me the opportunity to preside over this event. Before I go further, I am going to ask Mr. Baines to come up and have a few remarks to say hello to some of his friends here, and then I will continue. Mr. Baines.
Thank you, Brett. Every year I speak at this, and this year I wasn't supposed to, but I prepared about the same amount. So, you might think, well, it's great to recognize the adults, and as you're about to find out, even when we recognize these amazing adults, it's really not about them. Our organization, if we are to be all we say we are and all we hope to be, is all about our students. Sarah just came forward and in such a sparkling way shared herself with you, and you get a sense of how we feel so lucky to be with the children of this community. This is my 41st year as a teacher, and people keep saying, well, what's your problem? And I say, well, how am I ever going to feel this good doing anything else but being with these kids? So you're in for a real treat. You're about to see 4 spectacular young people come forward and honor 4 amazing, amazing leaders who've touched the lives of so many children. I always say when I think about it, that God speaks to us through the children. And indeed, it's true. So Brett, I'm glad I didn't have any time to prepare because I probably would have been longer. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to share words with this beautiful crowd tonight. Thank you very much.
It's incredible that I could sit here and honestly say that I could give the speeches on behalf of these incredible honorees tonight. But as Mr. Baines said, the students will be doing that in such an incredible way, and we'll be looking forward to hearing from them in a moment. But Dave Dunn will be represented by Apange Ikilie. Mr. Robert Longhouse will be represented by Tom Farina. Linda Northrup will be recognized by Chris Benito Arakoja. Excuse me. Mark Treyowitz will be recognized by Sarah Henretta. There's 120 years of experiences and wealth of culture and rich traditions of excellence. They've set the standards for all of us in this room. The things that they have accomplished have been incredible to our students. Like Mr. Baines said, we do this all for our students. And all of these members up here, we have watched them make incredible contributions, take their time every single day and model for all of us on what it means to be a member of this incredible Fairport Central School community. We're here tonight as a family. Families celebrate together. This is a time and a season of thanks. And tonight we're thanking you. We are grateful for you and all your contributions that you've made to the Fairport Central School District. In Fairport, we recognize and we celebrate the importance of connections and relationships. We understand that macro and micro gestures can make incredible differences to the experiences of our children. That's why you're here. You've perfected that. I was talking to one inductee who said that this was their Super Bowl, right? And if you look at the smiles, if you look at the people that are here to celebrate and honor them, they're feeling that way too. So we're proud and we're excited to be sharing in this moment as a Fairport family with you. Your stories make us better. They help us strive to live up to the time-honored traditions of our school community. In each of these honorees, the interactions that they've had with school members, there is a unique and rich attribute that distinguishes who they are and illustrates their passions to contribute to the lives of our students. The Wall of Distinction is our simple way to say thank you. Thank you for making the days fulfilling with your very presence. Thank you for understanding and realizing that you are a part of the bigger picture here in Fairport by modeling how to display unconditional love, care in all of its forms, and a deeper commitment to serve the children of Fairport and the Fairport community. Before we move to the presentations, though, I would like to take a moment to please have all of the former members or who have been inducted into the Wall of Distinction, please stand up and give these wonderful people a round of applause. Thank you for all of your contributions in making this night possible. I would ask our committee members, please stand when mentioned. Diane Dudley, who is the chairperson. John Baines, who we just heard from. Jerry Lynn Boynton. Sarah. Chesonis. Yeah, how'd I do? Hey! Carrie DuBose. Barbara Fila. Marcy Hosford, Board of Education member. Suzanne Meyer. Tom Palma. Renee Santalari. and myself. Thank you very much. Diane, there's incredible amounts of planning and detail that goes into this evening, and thank you. Much of it is because of your great efforts and your commitment and passion to this great endeavor. Now, we are here, and we are going to hear from our presenters and hear from our students for the very reason why we're here. We're going to have Ipange Akilie, please come up to the front and honor Mr. Dave Dunn.
Good evening. My name is Ipange Akilie, and I'm a senior here at Fairport High School. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting an incredible man, Mr. David Dunn, the principal of Martha Brown Middle School. Let me begin with this. Mr. Dunn is one of the greatest and most caring people I have ever met. This past Monday, I had the pleasure to meet with Mr. Dunn. He was a bit late, but only because he was caught up at Martha Brown with an ailing student. As soon as he sat down after giving me a hug, he told me that when I become a world-renowned violinist, I should invite him to introduce me at a concert. If that isn't a true demonstration of character, I don't know what is. David Dunn grew up in Fairport. He lived in a neighborhood just off Jefferson Avenue and attended Joanna Perrin, West Avenue, Martha Brown Junior High, Minerva DeLand, and Fairport High School. Mr. Dunn said that his family was most likely poor, but they never felt it because his parents always had a way to stretch money however they deemed fit, and they always were happy. His mother was a stay-at-home mom, and his father was a mailman by day and a cleaner in the schools by night. Mr. Dunn describes himself as a mama's boy and learned everything there is to know about strong work ethic and being a good person from his parents. Mr. Dunn started his teaching career in 1977 as a math teacher at Martha Brown. He held this position until 1995 when he became principal of the school. If you didn't do the math already, Mr. Dunn has been in Fairport as a teacher and administrator for 40 years. And that doesn't count his years as a student, which brings his total number of years in the district to a whopping 56. He said that never in the past 40 years has he not wanted to go to work. In fact, he has not even thought about retiring because of how much he enjoys his job. Since he began his time at Fairport, Mr. Dunn has been inducted into the Fairport Wall of Fame as an alumni from the class of 1973 and received the Rowdy Raider Award from the Fairport Football Booster Club. But to him, the greatest recognition is to be able to work in Fairport. Mr. Dunn considers himself very lucky to be surrounded by excellence every single day. He thanks his wife Cindy and his 3 children, Brandon, Vanessa, and Miranda, for all their love and support, his parents for raising him to become the person he is today, and retired principal Tim McEllerin for giving him the opportunity to be principal of Martha Brown. Mr. Dunn described himself as a basic person when I spoke with him. Mr. Dunn, I have to say that you are much more than basic. In speaking to students and teachers alike the past couple years, I have heard nothing but praise for you. Thank you for all the raving reviews of my playing over the years, and of course you can introduce me if or when I become famous.
Can't wait.
You wholeheartedly deserve this. Thank you again for everything.
Thank you. David. As I was coming into Fairport 13 years ago, Dave Dunn was one of the very first people to say hello to me and greet me. I remember the phone call. I remember exactly where I was in my office. I remember the light was shining in on a March afternoon on a cold, crisp day, and I remember hearing and talking to Mr. Dunn. And again, you got to realize that when you were outside of Monroe County, Dave Dunn is a legend, and he really is. He is the epitome of a middle school principal. He leads with his heart, and when I got that phone call from him, I was really, I never told you this, but I was really, really nervous. And I was, because now I'm going to be working next to this guy. And by the way, it's been a joy. I've learned so much from you, Dave. You've been a great mentor. You've been a great friend, and such an incredible leader for me. Thank you. This next gentleman, Mr. Robert Longhouse. Now, when I first came to JP, I was principal, brand new. And then there was this guy who was always there every single day. And I'm like, who is this guy, right? He was always subbing. He had been retired at that time. But through the years, you continually had the opportunity to meet and interact with Bob Longhouse because he loves being at or around students at school. He's on the soccer field to this day. Yesterday, I was talking to him at a basketball tryout, which, by the way, my son's trying out for that basketball team. But again, he has no reason to be here except for his love and passion for Fairport and for our students. I'm going to ask Tom Farino and Bob Longhouse to please come up, and Tom will be sharing Mr. Longhouse's story.
Can I raise this mic a little bit? All right, hello everyone. My name is Tommy Farina, and I'm here tonight and honored to speak about Coach Robert Longhouse. Let's start off with a little bit of background about Coach Longhouse and how he's involved in Fairport School District. Coach Longhouse grew up in Scottsville, New York, and attended Wheatland Charlotte High School from 1958 to 1962. After high school, he attended the State College at Brockport from 1962 to 1966, and after that, he joined the United States Marine Corps and served for 1966 until 1969. When it comes to teaching, Coach Longhouse taught as a physical education teacher in Fairport for 32 years from 1970 to 2002. He's taught at almost all the Fairport schools, including Fairport High School, Minerva DeLand, Joanna Perrin, Northside, and Jefferson Avenue. He's also coached numerous sports in Fairport for boys and girls. Coach Longhouse coached girls varsity soccer, girls soccer at the varsity JV and Mod A level for 41 years. He continues to coach girls soccer today, as mentioned with Mr. Provenzano. Basketball has also been a big part of Coach Longhouse's life. He spent most of his 45 years coaching Mod A and Mod B basketball, and has been a huge supporter of all the other basketball teams in the program. To top it all off, Coach Longhouse coached Mod B softball for 22 years. He has spent a total of 46 years in Fairport, and he has lived here from 1970 to 2016. Throughout his educational career, Coach Longhouse has accomplished many things. One accomplishment he's very proud of is his opportunity to work with thousands of Fairport's finest young people, coaches, and administrators. In fact, he's coached many current Fairport educators such as Coach Yusko, Coach Gardner, Coach Marcocha, Coach Fitch, Mrs. Kirkazis, and Mrs. Sudan. In 1983, Coach Longhouse received the Democrat and Chronicle Coach of the Year Award for coaching women's soccer. Additionally, he received the Marine Right Award in 1987 for his contributions to women's soccer. Coach Longhouse truly enjoys watching students realize their athletic potential. This shows a lot about Coach Longhouse's character and how he values making a positive impact on young people. As he's lived his life in Fairport, Coach Longhouse has made many memories that mean a lot to him. He really loves and appreciates being a part of the Fairport boys basketball family and culture. From coaching modified kids to watching varsity basketball games, he never stops enjoying the tradition. Another one of his fondest memories was coaching women's varsity soccer at the time Title IX changed the landscape of women's sports, and he's proud to say that he's coached girls Mod A soccer since it began in 2009. From all his experiences coaching, Coach Longhouse will never forget the feeling of riding home with his team after a sectional win. And he has, in fact, won 3 sectional titles in 1975, 1983, and 1987, all with the girls' varsity soccer team. So outside of school, Coach Longhouse enjoys golfing in his free time. He volunteers and works at Greystone Golf Course in Walworth, New York. Additionally, he's a big New York sports fan, and 2 of his favorite teams, the New York Giants and the New York Yankees. In receiving this honor, Coach Longhouse would like to thank many people. He would like to thank his family, his wife Marilyn, and his daughters Sarah Markovitz and Amy Powers, and the Fitch family, along with so many other fellow coaches that he has learned from. He would also like to thank his Mod B buddies, Coach Mike Malaber and Coach Ryan Lindstrom. Finally, he would like to thank all the athletic directors that have allowed him the honor of coaching at Fairport, including Mr. Joe Cummings, Mr. Dave Martins, Coach Don Santini, Mr. Jim Zumbo, and Mr. Fritz Killian. Coach Longhouse is a man I truly respect and is well deserving of this honor. He coached me back when I was on the modified basketball team, and I was very glad that I got to know him. I am honored to speak about Coach Longhouse and honored to be able to be here with him on this special night. To be successful, he gives the advice to enjoy the moment and only look back for opportunities to improve. Regardless of how he might have, or how much he might have given, or regardless of how much he might have given to the Fairport education, Coach Longhouse has received back much more in great memories, great friendships, and the satisfaction in sharing their lives with so many wonderful people. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Tom. You know, it's pretty amazing when you walk into room 139 over here in the corner at FHS. It was yesterday, and these students and our honorees were meeting for the very first time, and the conversations that they were having and the interactions were extremely genuine. And I really think it's a credit to our students who just really had, you know, one major interaction with these honorees here tonight, and you're doing a wonderful job in articulating and sharing who our distinguished guests are all about. Really, you know, yesterday I walked into that room, and I think Tom was talking to Linda Northrup, and he was saying, I remember when you were throwing the football around in the cafeteria, right? Now, what head or manager or leader is out there playing with kids in the cafeteria? She said, I knew I was breaking some rules, but hey, it was working, right? And if you would walk into her cafeteria at any given day, you would be impressed. You would be entertained. You actually want to go down to the cafeteria because the things that she could do with Jell-O, I mean, the things you do with Jell-O, it's amazing. Well, what, the light that you are, how you shine for the JA school community is really emblematic of this night, and it's a worthy recognition. Chris Benito Arcarage is going to come up and share a little bit about Linda Northrup.
Mrs. Northrup, or her preferred title, Lounge Lady Linda, is unlike anyone I've ever met. She grew up in Fairport, attending Joanna Perrin, Martha Brown, Minerva DeLand, and Fairport High School. And she began her career as a food service helper at Brooks Hill. Next, she held the position of Fairport High School baker, and from there she moved on to being the assistant cook manager at JA and FHS. And now she is the cook manager at Jefferson Avenue. That's 28 years of service to Fairport schools. You see, Lounge Lady Linda loves kids. She prides herself in making kids smile and laugh. She believes it's her duty to make kids feel welcome upon entering the cafeteria, and she carries out this duty with unfaltering enthusiasm. For every holiday and special occasion, Lounge Lady Linda, along with all the other lunch aides, would dress up. Turkeys for Thanksgiving, snowmen for Christmas, leprechauns for St. Patrick's Day. And all these costumes, Lounge Lady Linda would sew herself. From my discussion with Lounge Lady Linda, it became apparent that she had two main tenets: love your job and place kids first. These two values are essential for anyone working in Fairport Central School District, and Lounge Lady Linda has mastered them. As our discussion continued, I realized Lounge Lady Linda had impacted me as well. An old memory had resurfaced. I was standing in the lunch line at JA when a lunch lady threw a football at me. At the time, I didn't recognize who had made the pass. I was surprised that we would be playing football in the lunch line. But looking back at that moment, I realized it was Lounge Lady Linda. When I told her this, she was absolutely delighted. She explained to me the sense of satisfaction and the joy she feels when a student sees her outside of school, maybe at a store, and says, "Thank you for making lunch so fun." She then showed me a book she had received in 2008. Every class in Jefferson Avenue had made a page covered with pictures of themselves, their names, drawings, little bits of arts and crafts, but most importantly, their gratitude. The entire school had come together to say thank you to Lunch Lady Linda. This education wall of distinction isn't Lunch Lady Linda's first recognition. In 1989, she received the Unsung Heroine Award at Brooks Hill. In 2008, the New York State Award for Improving the Environment in the Cafeteria. And in 2015, the New York State National Manager of the Year Award. In addition to all these recognitions, Lunch Lady Linda has published 8 articles for Focus, a New York State nutrition magazine. Quite frankly, she's a pro. When you think of a school, you think of the students, you think of the teachers, the administration, principal, vice principal. Yet, there is so much that goes on behind the scenes. Things that are integral to the overall functioning of a school. Food service is one of these behind-the-scenes jobs that tends to get overlooked. We must continue not to overlook these little things that make our schools a better place. Whether it be serving lunch in a turkey outfit, or throwing a football in a lunch line to an unsuspecting third grader. It was my honor to present to you an individual so loved by those around her. Lunch Lady Linda, thank you for making Fairport Schools a better place.
That was you. Sorry about that. Here we go. Lunch Lady Linda. Did you catch it? I'm sorry, no? So I knew I heard the story. I just missed who it was from. So. Last, but definitely not least, we are going to honor Mark Treyowitz. You know, you better be careful in this role, or in the role of working in schools, because you might come away with some pretty close friends, and that's my takeaway with Mark. He's an incredible teacher. He's a passionate teacher. He gives his students so much in so many different ways. He's not only a leader for his students by demonstrating and modeling the care principles in his classroom that we hold so near and dear, but he's also a leader among his colleagues. He's always the first one to say, "I will contribute." He's always the first one that will say, "I will lead." And like I said, Mark has become an incredible friend, not only to me, but to my family. If you know Mark, he has this bag of candy, right? And it's in his bottom drawer. And for years, we used to go to JP, and my kids would run over to his room while I was in my office doing my thing, and they'd raid your, and then you would give Kim, I don't know what those things are called, the caramel things. Yeah, she loves them, and So again, Mark, this is an honor to be up here introducing you, and I know that Sarah Henretta is going to do an incredible job of sharing your story. Mark Treyowitz.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of introducing Mark Treyowitz as an inductee into the Fairport Educators Wall of Distinction. Mr. Treyowitz has taught in Fairport schools since 1993 and has touched many, many people's lives throughout his journey. In his 20-plus years of teaching, he has kept one simple goal in mind. He strives to create a safe and comfortable environment for his students to learn in. He encourages students to capitalize on their opportunities in his classroom by pushing them to think outside of the box. As described by his colleague and friend, Jeffrey Scherner, Mark's personality is such that he can reach any kind of student: the jock, the cheerleader, the musician, the shy, the dramatic, the insecure, the overconfident. Former students are continually coming back to JP to visit him, even from college. Mr. Treyowitz has served as the lead English teacher in both middle schools, organized stay-back days in JP, and is consistently the first to volunteer at school events. You can always find him in his classroom, surrounded by students who come to work with him, get help from him, or simply just talk with him. He can be seen at every teacher appreciation sporting event, which goes to show how much his students think of him. Mr. Treyowitz has provided students with some of their most memorable experiences, and yet some of his most memorable experiences in Fairport come from witnessing his students' successes. He enjoys watching as students persevere and then see the results they have created. His other favorite moments in Fairport include helping students see their own potential, speaking at the JP Homecoming, and chaperoning various clubs and school trips. Mr. Treyowitz has been actively involved in Fairport throughout his entire career, and he has made a lasting impact on everyone who has been lucky enough to work with him. He says that he could have never been successful, though, without the help, support, and guidance of everyone around him. He would like to thank his parents, sister, friends, and colleagues, many of which he is lucky enough to call his friends, as well as thank Kevin Henshin and Brett Provenzano for making a huge impact on his career in Fairport and at Johanna Perrin. Also, he would like to thank John Baines, Dave Dunn, and Mike Barker for always supporting him and inspiring him towards greatness in his career. He would like to thank his colleague, friend, and former student, Jeffrey Scherner, for the nomination and the committee for selecting him. But most of all, he would like to thank his students for all the lessons they have taught him and the joy they have provided him. Having witnessed Mr. Treyowitz's impact on his students, colleagues, and the whole Fairport community, though, I believe he is the one that should be thanked. So thank you for your 4 years of dedication, to the Fairport schools. Thank you for fostering a positive and comfortable environment for everyone at JP. And lastly, thank you for all the education, memories, smiles, and happiness that you've given to every person that has been lucky enough to get to know you.
Doesn't this feel good? Let's come back here next week and do this again. I truthfully, this is what it's all about. Things will happen, things will come, things will go, but we will remember the emotions of this moment. It is what helps us and motivates us and inspires us and helps us keep coming back, because we know this is as good as it gets. The relationships that you make every single day, the lives that you touch every single day. It's embodied right here. Let's give our inductees one big round of applause. I would also say that Apange, Tom, Chris, and Sarah, no one says it better than our students. They did a wonderful job of capturing the essence of who these great inductees are. Thank you. Before I say goodbye to everyone and have some final thoughts, we're going to ask Town Supervisor, Fairport friend, passionate Fairport educator, Mike Barker, please come to the podium for closing thoughts.
First of all, I want to thank the committee for inviting me to speak this evening. I'm so proud to be here, not only as your town supervisor, but as a former Fairport teacher. And I hate to use that word former. I think once a teacher, always a teacher. Fairport is indeed a special place to live, to work. I think we all know that. It's no coincidence that 3 times in the last 10 years, Fairport has been selected as one of the best places to live in America. And I think that it's because, well, let me tell a story before I tell you why I think it is. I was with Ryan Lindstrom at a conference, New York State Social Studies conference in Syracuse. And I was off, you like this, Mrs. Wankelman, I was off at a DBQ session. And it was a small room, and as they often do at conferences, they went around and everybody said where they were from, and I said I was from Fairport. The conference went on, and after that session ended, 3 of the professors giving the conference asked me to come speak to them. I had no idea why. And they said, we want to ask you about Fairport. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, one of them was from Oneonta, one was from Oswego, and one was from Binghamton, SUNY Binghamton. So, and they said, when kids, our students from Western New York, if they live in the Buffalo area, they say they're from Buffalo. If they live in the Syracuse area, they say they're from Syracuse. If they live in the Rochester area, they say they're from Rochester. Except the kids from Fairport. When they ask them where they're from, they don't say Rochester, they always say Fairport. They said, what's so special about Fairport? Well, I'll tell you this. These are 4 reasons that Fairport is so special. I absolutely believe that what Brett said earlier about our Fairport family, the relationships and the connections we make, is what makes this place such a special place. These 4 people exemplify all of that. You have Lunch Lady Linda, who devoted her life to feeding and taking care of our kids. All educators will tell you, the kids learn the most on the bus and in the cafeteria. In Linda's lunchroom, the kids learn love and acceptance. There's no better lessons than that, is there? My daughter's father-in-law, Lou DiGiuseppe, said the best job he ever had was working in the JA cafeteria. You can't get any better than that. Dave Dunn has spent over 50 years of his life, well over 40, in middle school. Some of us might not like that. I think that's paradise, and so does Dave. His love for his students and his faculty and this community shines at all times. His enthusiasm and his love, he really does exemplify once a Raider, always a Raider. And he bleeds Raider red, don't you, Dave? Our family's been lucky enough. My sister had Dave as a math teacher. She wasn't what she would call the best student. But Dave taught her well and made her feel success. And the Barkers, thank you for that, Dave. 2 of my nieces went through while Dave's been the principal there, and they can't say enough about him. You truly are Fairport's #1 cheerleader, Dave. Thank you. As most of you know, I taught at Joanna Perrin Middle School for 22 years, 22 amazing years. One of the most dedicated people and best teammates you could ever ask for was Mark Trewitz. Mark's a great English teacher, but he's a better person. He inspired all of us. He took care of all of us all the time, teachers and staff. And as Mr. Scherner says, you touch the lives of all of the students and the faculty that you work with. Mark, you're the best. Love you, man. Finally, the Silver Fox. Coach Bob Longhouse. Coach Longhouse has taught over 10,000 students, I think, if my math is right. He's got over 1,000 victories, but it's not the wins that matter to Bob. It's that the teams got better every time, and every team Bob ever coached got better. I was lucky 3 of my kids have had Coach Longhouse, the legendary Coach Longhouse. And Bob didn't just teach athletics or sports, he taught the whole student. And that's what he was about. Bob's one of the most well-read teachers that I know. And he made sure that the kids excelled not just in athletics, but in their academics and in the arts. Big music fan, Bob Longhouse. And of course, as a Marine, and last week being Veterans Day, we thank you for your service to this country as a Vietnam vet. As a teacher, I used to do a veterans assignment with my students and ask them to interview a vet. And any of the kids that didn't know a veteran, I would send them to Coach Longhouse, and he never turned any of them down. He was always the proud Marine. Amen. Hoo-ha, right? So I thank all of you for your service to our kids. You represent what a great place this is to live, to raise a family. God bless all of you. God bless all of you. And thank you for, one last thing, thank your families for sharing you all with us. Have a great night. Thank you.
I'm repeating myself, but I call it the Fairport double clutch, and that pretty much means to me what Mike said. You know, you could say I'm an educator or I live in Fairport, and or you could say I'm an educator, and they'll be like, okay, and then you say, well, I'm an educator in Fairport, and they'll go like this. Right, and it's the double clutch, and people know that there's a heartbeat here that resonates, and I truly believe that starts with our leadership, and I'm grateful that we have a board of education, and we have board members here, Joyce Kostick, Marty Cardona, Maureen I see, and of course Marilyn, who you met earlier or introduced the evening, but it starts with them allowing us to express and engage in this love in this community. So we thank them for their commitment. We'd like to give a special thank you to our donors because a lot of this doesn't happen without their generous contributions. We'd like to thank the Fairport Administrators Association, the Fairport Educators Association, the Fairport Retired Educators Association, the Fairport Central Association of School Support Personnel, the Fairport District Paraprofessionals, ME Engineering, and Campus Construction Management Group. So thank you very much for your generosity and your ability to see the reason why it's important that we come together to celebrate each other. This concludes this portion. Right now we will be going to the reception at the Wall of Distinction, and I think we're heading down there right now. Thank you very much, everyone. We're going to have a photo right up front. Right, we're going to do a photo, so don't leave. Dave, do you hear that, Dave? You're not going to leave because we know you got things. All right.